Welcome everyone to Canyon City Planning Commission regular meeting Wednesday, December 27th, 2017. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Would you all stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Bernath, you call roll, please.
Chairman Maloney,
Here.
Commissioner Shirato,
Here.
Commissioner Dorito, Commissioner Clark,
Here.
Commissioner Hamrick,
Here.
Commissioner Harmon,
Here.
Commissioner Ledoux,
Here.
and Councilman Gill is excused.
So we do have a quorum, right?
We do have a quorum.
Okay. Okay, so first off, we have a couple new members. One of them is here tonight, Commissioner Michael Shirato. It looks like your term is just through 2018. Does that sound right?
Yes.
And Randy Smith will be a new commissioner starting in January, and his term will be through 2019. And before we get to minutes, we have an announcement from Ms. Dina Svetlik.
Good evening, everybody. Just wanted to make a little announcement at the beginning of this meeting as there's a bit of a changing of the guard happening in a couple of different aspects. So first, want to again thank Commissioner Hamrick for serving and welcome Commissioner Shirato to joining the Planning Commission. So welcome. And then also we have a bit of a changing in the guard from a staff perspective. So Terry Bernath, who's been city planner for about 4.5 years now with the city, is leaving us at the end of this week on to new ventures and adventures in life. So I wanted to thank her for all of her work with the city, and particularly in the last 7 months since I've been here, getting me up to speed as much as possible. And so wish her well in her endeavors, and then wanted to welcome Patrick Mulready, who is our incoming city planner. So Patrick luckily was able to overlap with Terry over the past 3 weeks part-time, and will start full-time on January 2nd. And so we welcome Patrick as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I now need approval of minutes from the regular meeting held on November 22nd, 2017. Are there any corrections? Sounds like none. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes, please?
So moved.
Commissioner Harmon,
I'll second that.
second. Terry, call roll, please.
Chairman Maloney,
Aye.
Commissioner Shirato,
Aye.
Commissioner Dorito, I'm sorry, he's absent. Commissioner Clark,
Aye.
Commissioner Hamrick,
Aye.
Commissioner Harmon,
Aye.
and Commissioner Ledoux.
Aye.
The motion passed.
Okay, thank you. One item on the agenda tonight, public hearing, TMU project at 1012 Main Street for mixed-use development. I'd like to open this public hearing. The provisions of the city municipal code, and in particular Title 17 thereof, the subdivision regulations, and the comprehensive plan of the city of Canyon City are incorporated into the record of the hearing as if set forth verbatim. Can we have a staff report, please?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission. As I was introduced to you earlier this evening, again, my name is Patrick Mulready. I am your incoming city planner, going full-time beginning at the start of next month. We are here this evening to conduct a hearing regarding a TMU, or Transitional Mixed-Use Request, for property located at 1012 Main Street. This is a couple of lots, as this vicinity map here indicates. A couple of lots to the east of the intersection of 10th Street and Main in downtown Canyon City. The property has been used historically as the offices for a company called Good Neighbor LLC. And the applicant seeks to add a residence to this under a transitional mixed-use zoning. The applicant is here this evening, by the way, and is prepared to speak with you about that. And I would recommend questions about her motivation for why she wants to do this are probably things she can better articulate than I can myself. What I can tell you is that the TMU provisions within the zoning code do allow for and in fact encourage mixed commercial and residential projects. So the existing building that's there, in fact, has a back half of the building that she is proposing to convert to residential use. There would be, from the perspective of the actual exterior of the building, no discernible change, and therefore, and when we evaluated this against the criteria for transitional mixed-use zonings and transitional mixed-use projects, we found that the impact is de minimis, of a de minimis nature, and therefore there wasn't a need to impose a whole lot of conditions upon this particular request. What she is proposing to do is convert the back half of the existing building, as you see highlighted in yellow here, into the residential portion of the building, and the front half would remain as the commercial office portion of the building. Now, under the parking code requirements for such a use, there would be a requirement for 5 spaces. What she's shown on site, accessed from the alley portion of the property to the rear, would be 2 spaces for the residential portion of the building and 2 spaces for the commercial portion of the building. Now, the parking code also allows you to claim parking spaces in an adjacent right-of-way. If you extend the lot lines into the right-of-way, whatever parking spaces are available within that right-of-way can be claimed for the use. She only needs 1, and she has 2, so she can claim 1 of those and meet the 5 parking space requirement that is available for use for this particular project. So therefore, staff has recommended approval, and if you turn to page 5, and I believe Terry has in fact been jotting some quick revisions to the findings of fact and motion in your staff report, and hopefully she can summarize some of the revisions that she's written down here. But we are recommending approval of this project.
If I might, when you're about ready to do your findings of fact, I will tell you some of the revisions that need to be made here, but we'll carry on with your questions or comments.
Are there any questions of staff right now from the commission?
I do have a
Commissioner Hamrick.
question. Thank you very much. My question is, and I know that this has been an issue with other buildings, is that the city building division is recommending an egress window from the bedroom. I note that the structure is brick. Do we know or do we not know whether there is, whether that will require brick modifications or whether a window will fit in the existing opening?
We do not know that at this time. There has not been a building permit submitted at this point, so we have not done any sort of analysis of the structure of the building and what it will take to bring it up to current code requirements.
In that case, it's something I think for staff to consider in this request is that if there are extensive structural modifications that are required to make an egress window, that condition be reconsidered.
Okay, would the applicant like to come up to the podium and say anything? Please state your name.
Good evening. I'm Evgenia Gencheva. I go by Jenny Gencheva for more convenience. And first of all, I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to present this matter to you. I'm a mental health professional and a practice out of my private practice at 1012 Main Street, otherwise known as the Office of Good Neighbor. What prompted me to make this request to you is that my partner and husband of 36 years passed in October 11th, very suddenly, and that posed a lot of practical and financial challenges to me, which also made me think about my living situation. And so I'm hoping to be able to convert the back of the office into a living quarters and to be able to eventually live there. So I'm hoping that I can accommodate any requests that are made as far as the potential remodels, and which should be minimal, but thank you ahead of time for reviewing the request.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions of the applicant from the commission? Okay, thank you, and sorry to hear of your loss.
Thank you.
Any other questions of staff? Okay. Any comments from the audience? Yes? Can you come up to the podium, please? That way it's recorded. And please state your name and address, please.
My name is Dorothy Bach, and my husband and I, approximately a year ago, bought the property next door at 1008. And in the last year, we have found them to be wonderful neighbors. And as far as the practice, it's quiet. There's never been an issue with vehicles, and they've been wonderful neighbors. So we are here to support them. And our property is zoned layered, so it can be transitional. And in the time that we've been out there working on it and watering and watching the comings and going of the practice, we have been delighted, actually, with the neighbors on both sides, which have businesses. And we have fixed that up to be a home. And we've had some personal health issues and have not been able to carry on and quite finish it up. So in case anyone wonders about 1008, the gray house next door, it's just pretty much done. We've just had issues that we've had to deal with and take care of. So if anyone was curious as to that, but anyway, it's a wonderful little neighborhood on that corner, and we're delighted that we would have someone in that corner that possibly would be there in the evenings. We think that would be wonderful. So that's all we had to say. Did you have any questions about us or our home, or?
Any questions of the audience? No, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Is there any questions or comments from staff pertaining to maybe the Commissioner Hamrick's suggestion? I think that would be handled with a building permit, wouldn't it?
It would generally be handled with a building permit, and I believe the intent of the requirement is to have some sort of a window that's installed that by a lever or some sort of action allows for quick egress. I don't know that that's going to necessarily translate into structural revisions to the building, but we can certainly look at that when we get a building permit in.
Okay. Any further comments or questions? No? Okay, I'm going to close this public hearing. We need a motion and a second on the request based upon the Ms. Burnett, yes.
If you can give me just a couple of minutes, I would like to make a copy of this for you. We've got some relatively extensive changes on this, so I will just pop out and maybe we can take a recess for about 2 minutes.
Okay, 2-minute recess.
Thank you. this is actually a TMU project that is the only application that is actually approved by the Planning Commission, unless for some reason there is, the Planning Commission believes that there's a reason to take it to council, or the applicant has requested that it go to council. So we have, my mistake, we have originally said that this was a zone code amendment. It is not. It's a TMU project. There are 2 motions as you would normally make them, and we have changed some of the criteria so that it meets the TMU versus the zoning code amendment language. So you can read right off of this if you would like, and you will do your 2 motions as normal. But instead of making a recommendation, you will actually be making a decision.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions on these changes? Okay. All right.
Actually, I do have one question.
Commissioner Clark.
So this, thank you, I'm sorry. So this approval we're giving in light of the egress window issue will still be applicable when the building permits are issued?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that doesn't change anything from that aspect?
It does not change anything. What you are approving with the TMU is the ability to operate a residence at this location. Now, the egress window is a detail that's a subset of that, but it doesn't change that. If you approve the TMU, the residential use at that point is allowed to go forward pending a review of building plans.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. I now call for a motion and a second on the request based upon the findings.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Commissioner Hamrick?
And I move that the Canyon City Planning Commission, upon conducting a public hearing on the above captioned TMU project, and after considering the testimony presented by city staff and other interested parties, find as follows, that number 1, notice of the public hearing was properly given and as required by law, and number 2, the proposed project meets TMU requirements and criteria.
Before I get a second, I said Hamrick, I meant Harmon.
We'll get it right someday.
Yeah, someday. If John would ever go, I wouldn't have this problem. Okay, do we have a second, please?
Second.
Commissioner Hamrick. Terry, call roll.
Chairman Maloney,
Aye.
Commissioner Hamrick,
Aye.
Commissioner Dorito. I'm sorry, forgetting he's not here. Commissioner Clark,
Aye.
Commissioner Sherrado,
Aye.
Commissioner Harmon,
Aye.
and Commissioner Ledoux.
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Now we have a second vote on the approval, so I now call for a motion and a second based on the approval.
I'll make that motion as well, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Harmon?
Based on the above findings of fact, the Canyon City Planning Commission hereby makes the following decision. Approval of the TMU project, but with the following conditions. Number 1, the applicant must obtain a building permit for the conversion of the residential portion of the property and comply with the concerns noted by the city's building division. And number 2, unless otherwise modified by this approval or other subsequent decision of the city council as it may apply to this request, all material representations made by the applicant in its application submittal and/or in any public hearing shall be binding upon the applicant. The applicant's failure to perform in accordance with such material representations could result in a revocation of this approval.
We have a second.
Second.
Commissioner Hamrick. Ms. Bernath, please call roll.
Chairman Maloney,
Aye.
Commissioner Hamrick,
Aye.
Commissioner Clark,
Aye.
Commissioner Sherrado,
Aye.
Commissioner Harmon,
Aye.
and Commissioner Ledoux.
Aye.
The motion passed.
All right, well, thank you. Congratulations. Okay, before we adjourn, does any commissioners have any announcements for the good of the order? No? I'd just like to say if this is Ms. Burnett's last meeting, we're going to miss her very much. So, thank you.
Thank you.
And stay in touch. I don't know. Can we call you?
Sure.
Stop by.
I would like to say, if I might, before we end this, that I have very much enjoyed working with all of the planning commissioners over the years. And it's been a joy, truly. You guys are very, very dedicated, all of you who have come from past to present, and it has been my pleasure to serve. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll miss you. And welcome, Mr. Mulready.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to getting to know all of you, hopefully as well as Terry has, and moving us in a forward direction,
Yeah.
positive direction.
Looking forward to a new year, so Happy New Year, everyone. I won't see you, I'm sure, until next year. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.